Why were certain books included in the Christian Bible? Imagine trying to put together a puzzle with pieces from different boxes. Some pieces fit perfectly, others seem out of place. That's similar to how the Bible was formed. The process of choosing which books to include was careful and deliberate. It was about making sure the collection was trustworthy and true to Christian beliefs. The Old Testament books were gradually recognized as sacred over many centuries. The Jewish community started with the Torah, which is the first 5 books, around for 100 years before Christ. Later, they added the prophets and the writings, completing the Canon by about 90 to 100 years after Jesus was born. These books were seen as inspired because they reflected God's messages and teachings. When Christians came along, they accepted these same books as part of their sacred writings. The New Testament was put together more intentionally between the 2nd and 4th centuries after Christ. Early Christians wanted to include writings that came directly from the apostles or their close friends. These authors had personal experience with Jesus and knew the early church well. The books had to match the core beliefs about Jesus and salvation that the church held. They also needed to be widely used in worship and teaching across different Christian communities. Some early attempts to decide which books belonged, like Marcion's Canon in the 2nd century, were rejected. Marcion wanted to exclude the Hebrew scriptures and only keep certain writings, but this distorted Christian teaching. Over time, church leaders and councils, like those at Hippo and Carthage, confirmed the list of books we now call the New Testament. The first time the list matched what we have today was in a letter from Athanasius in 367 C. The main rules for including a book were that it had to be written by an apostle or someone close to one. It needed to agree with Christian doctrine and be accepted by many churches. The book also had to show signs of spiritual value and inspiration by God. This process was guided by the belief that God helped the church recognize which writings were truly inspired. Understanding why these books were chosen helps us see the Bible as a unified story. It shows how God's message was passed down through history, and it encourages us to interpret Scripture with respect for its origins. Knowing this background helps us trust the authority of the Bible and interpret its verses more accurately in our own lives.